Hello and welcome to New Horizons, the podcast where we dive into all things migration and the realities of life abroad. Today, we are talking about life challenges in New Zealand, a country that is, without a doubt, one of the most beautiful places on Earth. Year after year, New Zealand ranks as one of the most scenic countries in the world, with breathtaking landscapes, pristine beaches, and incredible outdoor experiences. And it is not just the scenery. New Zealand is also known for its friendly and welcoming people, strong democracy, and a range of freedoms and advancements, a stable Western state. It is a progressive and well-developed country with an excellent welfare system. The education system is top tier, and its public healthcare system is one of the best in the world. With English as the primary language, it is an easy transition for many migrants compared to non-English-speaking countries. New Zealand also has a special migration relationship with Australia. If things do not work out in New Zealand, there are relatively easy pathways for moving to Australia and vice versa. In fact, these pathways are becoming increasingly smooth over time, making it one of the few places in the world where you can migrate and still have a backup plan for another major economy like Australia. Hundreds and thousands of Kiwis, as New Zealanders are called, currently live and work in Australia without any major discrimination. New Zealand's weather can be rainy and cold at times, but it is overall moderate and pleasant, with warm summers and mild winters, making it an ideal place to live year-round. And last but not least, once you become a citizen, New Zealand's passport is ranked among the best in the world, with over 180 countries offering visa-free entry, giving you amazing global mobility. But like any country, New Zealand is not perfect, and there are some real challenges that every potential migrant should know about before deciding to move. Today, we're going to touch on some of them. If you have ever thought about moving to New Zealand, or are just curious about what life there is actually like, stay tuned. One of the biggest challenges people face in New Zealand is finding a job. Despite its incredible beauty and infrastructure, jobs, particularly well-paid jobs, are hard to find, particularly for new migrants. Most employers prefer hiring candidates with local experience, which can make it difficult for newcomers to secure jobs in their fields. Even highly skilled professionals often find themselves working below their qualifications or having to take on temporary or low-paying jobs just to get by. Some industries like construction, healthcare, and information technology have a relatively high demand for skilled workers. But others, such as business, marketing, and general office jobs, can be extremely competitive. So, unless you have a prior employment arrangement or come from a high-demand technical background, be prepared for a job hunt that might be challenging and take longer than anticipated. Then there is the issue of salaries. New Zealand does not have the same salary levels as countries like the United States, Canada, or Australia. In fact, wages in New Zealand tend to be lower, while the cost of living is high and continues to rise. For example, the average salary in New Zealand is around $60,000 to $70,000 New Zealand dollars per year before tax, which for most professionals does not go as far as they expected, especially when you consider housing and daily expenses. Speaking of which, let us talk about the cost of living now. New Zealand is one of the most expensive countries to live in, particularly when it comes to rent, groceries, and basic necessities. Main cities, which are where most of the jobs are, such as Auckland, Wellington, and even Christchurch, have seen rent prices skyrocket over the last few years. In Auckland city centre, renting a one-bedroom apartment can cost around 2,500 New Zealand dollars per month or more. Much of these rental hikes seem to be caused by housing shortages, population growth, and lack of affordable housing options. And despite government efforts to build more houses, demand still far exceeds supply, leaving renters with little bargaining power. And it does not end with the high rents. Groceries and other necessities can also be quite expensive in New Zealand. A weekly grocery shop for a family of 2 to 3 people can cost 300 to 400 New Zealand dollars, which is far more than what people pay in many other countries. And if you enjoy eating out, restaurants and takeaways will add more to your costs. A basic meal at a mid-range restaurant can cost 30 to 40 New Zealand dollars per person, for example. Utilities, like electricity and internet, add another 200 to 300 New Zealand dollars per month to your living expenses. And if you own a car, fuel prices are among the highest in the world. Everything adds up quickly, and many residents find themselves struggling to make ends meet, even on full-time salaries. One of the other things that people do not always think about when moving to New Zealand is how isolated it is. It is far from almost everywhere in the world. Almost all flights go via Sydney or Australia, so there is almost always at least one connecting flight. And then the nearest place would be Bali in Indonesia, which is at least 8 hours flight from Sydney alone. A flight to Dubai can be a 15-hour haul, and you can add another 5 to 8 hours if you're traveling to Europe. It can take a very heavy toll both on your body, sleeping patterns, and of course, your pocket. A return ticket from Auckland to London, for example, often costs 2,500 New Zealand dollars to 3,000 New Zealand dollars or more. Even a flight to Australia, New Zealand's closest neighbor, can set you back by hundreds of dollars. So, whether you want to fly back home to visit family, go on holiday, or even take a business trip, it can be extremely taxing. If you have family overseas, you might only see them once every few years, unless you are very rich who can afford expensive international trips more often. New Zealand's geographical isolation also affects its economy. Importing goods is expensive, which is part of the reason why groceries, cars, electronics, and other items cost significantly more than in many other countries. So should you still move to New Zealand? The answer depends on your situation as well as what you are looking for. If you want a high salary, easy access to the world, and a fast-paced city life, New Zealand might not be the best fit. But if you are looking for a decent, safe living with beautiful and scenic surroundings, great and warm people, and rare international travel, then New Zealand can be a perfect choice. It is by far one of the safest countries in the world, with low crime rates and a friendly, welcoming culture. It is also a beautiful place to live, with mountains, beaches, and outdoor adventures right on your doorstep. But before you move, it is important to be realistic. So do think about the possible challenges and downsides we just mentioned. That is it for today's episode of New Horizons at Migration ETC, friends. If you have recently moved to New Zealand or are planning to do so, share your thoughts in the comments section below. We love to hear your views on the topics we explore. And do not forget to subscribe to stay updated on our future migration-related episodes. Thank you for listening.